That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Immaculate, the fourth film directed by Michael Mohan, which premiered at the 2024 South by Southwest Film Festival. It is being released courtesy of Neon on March 22nd, 2024.
Do I know a Michael Mohan film?
You might be familiar with, though I'm sure you didn't see, his 2021 feature, The Voyeurs, starring Sydney Sweeney and Justice Smith, which is, a Rear Window ripoff, if I've seen one.
Well, what is Immaculate about? Cecilia, a woman of devout faith, is warmly welcomed to the picture-perfect Italian countryside where she is offered a new role at an illustrious convent. But it becomes clear to Cecilia that her new home harbors dark and horrifying secrets. What's your pull quote?
Surprisingly meek for a rapey nunsploitation film, subversively confirming Christ's ambivalence towards reproductive rights, Immaculate ultimately lacks tension, but plays peekaboo with camp sensibilities.
The story's pretty basic. So Sydney Sweeney plays a nun named Cecilia, and she became a nun because when she was a kid, she died for a few minutes in a drowning accident and decided to devote her life to Christ for saving her, I guess. So she's a nun at a convent in Detroit.
Team Jesus.
But that convent gets closed due to low ticket sales. So she gets invited to participate in a convent in Italy. So she goes. Weird things start to happen. She finds out she's pregnant, which is weird because she's never had relations with a man. And we find out that the head of this convent, this priest, is also a geneticist. And we also know that they have one of the nails used on Jesus's cross for the crucifixion. So it has Jesus's DNA on it. So this priest/scientist has been impregnating these young nuns, trying to get the baby Jesus. So when Sydney Sweeney's character finds out that's what's happening, she tries to escape. In the process, she kills the Reverend Mother, or Mother Superior, Reverend Mother, that's Dune, and then the main priest. And as she's leaving the convent, she goes into labor, delivers the baby, and then smashes it with a rock. The end.
Yeah, there you go. That is it in a nutshell.
What were your thoughts overall of this film?
That it needed to go harder in one direction or the other, because there are moments where you can see the silliness of it, like when Sydney Sweeney's water breaks, she's like, God damn it. It's like, okay, well, why don't we lean further into that, because there's absolutely no tension. You show me an image of a nun over the title Immaculate. What do you think this is going to be about? This is it feels like Dario Argento's take on Agnes of God, of course by way of Rosemary's Baby.
This plot also reminded me of a film we reviewed, The Devil Conspiracy.
That was a terrible film, yeah.
Which is about these people, this cult trying to impregnate a woman with the devil's baby.
With DNA from the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is very much in keeping with that kind of... And that reminded me as you were reading the synopsis, in several Shakespearean plays, there's... a terminology called splud, that means Christ's blood, that is meant as a disparaging term.
Also, it makes me think of the movie with Anita Ekberg.
Killer Nun. Well, yeah, we're headlong into nunsploitation territory here. That is one of my favorites of that subgenre.
But this movie's gory.
It's gory, yeah. But it's all for naught. It seems so. Once Sydney Sweeney, Cecilia, is pregnant, and she's asking some questions, and that's where we start getting the title markers like second trimester. They're like, well, we don't want you to go to a hospital or leave the premises because you have the Savior inside of you, and that would be suspicious. You understand, right? But one of her competitors, a woman named Sister Isabel, tries to drown her. And then we see her, what we think is Isabel, jumping to her death, and her face is basically gouged out.
But when Isabel learns Cecilia is pregnant, she says, well, it should have been me.
Yeah.
So she knows that that's what they're doing.
Like Justin Timberlake, yeah.
But there's another nun, Gwen.
Gwen is her little buddy, played by Benedetta Porcaroli, who we know as the lead of that film Amanda, which we reviewed from 2022.
Oh,
which
okay.
is kind of a strange teen movie. If you look it up, you'll remember it.
Okay.
Yes, and she has makes the poor decision to speak out in a shouting match with Father Sal, and then of course we see her get her tongue cut out.
What did you think of Sydney Sweeney's performance?
She's fine. I think after this could have been Anyone But You, Jesus. She has a tendency to mumble, which to me was apparent more than ever in this film, and she also just seems to be generally bored. But that said, I think that it's the best moments are in the first 20 minutes before the pregnancy is confirmed, because you're like, oh, maybe this will do something more interesting than I think it predictably is going to be doing. But
the nuns are speaking Italian around her, which confuses her, right?
Yes, but I thought that brings up some interesting tensions. That's why I bring up Argento, like the Jessica Harper character in Suspiria, if you remember, as this American dance student coming to this European place at the same time this other woman is fleeing and murdered, and not knowing what is in store for her. And her ignorance is also this kind of, speaks to a sort of purity about her as well.
How about the cinematography?
It was shot by Alicia Christian, who also lends The Night House with Rebecca Hall, which I was a big fan of. I think it looks fine. Again, it just doesn't really go anywhere exceptional. Father Sal, played by Álvaro Morte, is this young, handsome thing that once Sydney Sweeney discovers what's going on, she tries to fake a miscarriage to get off the premises.
Using some raw chicken meat.
She cut off a chicken head and poured that all over her, what's between me down there. But the Mother Superior discovers this before they're able to get too far. But after that, she's detained by the father, and he shows her his lab, and much like that sequence in Alien Resurrection where you see the other clones of the Sigourney Weaver Ellen Ripley character, they're like, these are all the other ones we tried to do. So there's that kind of carnivalesque sideshow subversiveness to it that I like as well, but it just doesn't go hard enough in any of those directions.
But we don't understand the science of what he's doing, right? Because it sounds like he's tried to impregnate many women. But how much DNA did he have from that nail, right?
Right, and how many chances did they get? And it sounds like Isabel they already tried with once.
Also, they brand Sydney Sweeney's foot with a crucifix, but we see another nun, an older nun, with that same marking. So is that the marking of one who was pregnant?
Anybody that's tried to get away.
Or someone who's tried to get away.
But I mean, you can still walk with a lacerated foot, so it's not like the hobbling in Misery.
What was the creepiest moment?
I don't think there were any creepy moments.
Oh.
I think there were funny moments, like, as I said, when Sydney Sweeney's water breaks, and then, of course, the end where she chews through her own umbilical cord, which
is a sight to behold.
Is a sight to behold, for sure. And they keep quoting that passage from the Bible, Matthew, whatever, about blessed are the meek. Which made me, all I could think of was blessed are the freaks, for they won't inherit the virgin birth, because that apparently appears to be the curse. But this is the inverse of Rosemary's Baby, a religious cult requiring a woman's body to be held against her will so she can be an incubator.
What else would you like to say?
This was something that apparently Sydney Sweeney auditioned for a decade ago that never got made. So she's out. It sounds like she's wanted to make this for a while, from the screenwriter Andrew Lobel, this is his first produced feature. I don't know. It's just it's disappointing in that sense that you see how kind of fantastically subversive it could be, rather than just kind of lightly playing with things that we've played with for a long time.
What would you give Immaculate?
2.5.
Out of 5. Anything else?
No.
Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.